Hello everyone, welcome back to Turtles Cove Media. Glad you're here today, whether you're here to watch, learn, or you just need to decompress for a little bit. I'm glad you're here. We're going to have a good time today. We're going to get right into it. So today we're going to be adding just a little bit of fun to the game. We're going to be adding some sounds. We're going to be adding some whenever the ball's hitting the top or bottom wall, and then when it's hitting the paddles, and then also when either the player or the AI scores. And then we're also, if time allows it, we're going to be getting a little bit into just adding some background music, making the game, let's say, pop a little bit more. So the first thing we got to do before we do any code in this case, because we're actually going to be bringing in external files into our program. I know, a little bit scary, nothing too crazy. We got to go grab them. First thing you want to do is you're going to want to have whatever file or wherever you have your game saved. In this case, this is the Pong file we're using. Don't worry about these other two files. We're going to want to drag these files into our game, into the same folder. So I'm going to have a link below where you can get, it'll be a Google Drive where you can get all 5 files we're going to be using. And you're just going to want to go through and download each one of them. They're not very big. I can locate, there's my mouse. Alright, so what you're going to want to do, go find, in my case, all my downloads, go to my downloads folder. And all you're going to do is going to grab all 5 of these. We're just going to drag them into the folder. The only other thing to note is the names of the files and their file type. That will be important. So we have all of our sound effects are the WAV file type. The actual background music is going to be an MP3. We'll get to that. And making sure we know which those are, what those are important just when we're pulling in the files. So we can just move all of these off our screen. And now we can actually get into it. So the very first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding one more function to our game. And all we're doing here is we're going to be loading our sounds into the game. So the function is called load sounds. We're just going to have a variable called sounds. And it's going to functionally be an array. We're going to have the first sound is going to be called paddle hit. Pygame, and we give it a name. Now it's a string, so we have to make sure we put our parentheses around it. And we're going to be calling a function here built into Pygame, Pygame mixer dot capital S sound. And now we're going to be calling the actual file. So in this case, it's paddle underscore hit .wav, and this is where that's important. So now what's going to happen is when we actually add the sound to our game, all we're going to be doing is we're going to be calling this name, and then it's going to be using this to go grab it in our folder. Next we have wall bounce. And one thing I'll say is these first 2 sounds are actually the same. I just named them different in case myself or you wanted to come back and change the sounds to be different. All you're going to have to do is add a new file to the folder and just change the name to, in this case, wall bounce. And I just realized I made a mistake. There we go. And .wav. And next we have player score. Sound, capital S sound, and that's going to be our player score. .wav, and then last one is AI score, and that's just going to be Pygame. Same thing. Mixer sound, WAV. Now I was trying to pull in our background music this way too, but the way we have to pull in the background music, it doesn't like to get along with this, because we have to pull it in a certain way, otherwise it'll only play the background music. We won't ever hear the sound effects. So we're just doing this for our sake. Make it as easy as possible, and all we're going to do is call return and sounds, and all a return does is it's going to run this, and it's going to send out whatever has called this function. It's going to send this back out. Alright, so now all we gotta do is just have to add our new sound to the game. There we go. Just scrolling through my notes. Oh, I went too far. And we're going to be adding it in here. Nothing too crazy. It's only a few lines of code today, but it'll be doing a whole lot. Actually, well, what I've realized, I forgot to do two more things. First thing we should always do is, the function's not going to matter right now, but I need to make sure the game is running correctly. The sounds won't impact anything at this point. Give it a second. There we go. Oh, there we go. Looks like our game is running correctly. Yep. Quit out. Alright. So that's the first thing I forgot to do. I'm really bad about doing that. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a variable in our main program, which we're going to use to call our function. Just make it a little bit easier on us. So I'm going to add a couple lines. I'm going to just put in a column that says load sounds. And we will be coming back around to add our background music. So first we're just going to do sounds equals load sounds. Now we can come all the way down to this. So our first sound is going to be our wall bounce. So all we have to do is, for this, same thing when our balls change direction when they're hitting the top or bottom wall. We're going to let the ball direction change, and we're going to be loading the sounds. Do the brackets, because we're looking for a more or less use an array here, an array of sounds. We're going to call wall bounce. We don't have to worry about the file type or anything. That's why we have the name in front of it. .play. And we can actually test it out real quick to make sure it works. Let me increase the volume a little bit. Make sure y'all. Oh. Give me just a moment. Take this out of full screen. There we go. Give it just a second. There we go. We should hear. There we go. Every bounce against the top and bottom wall, we have sound. So now all we're going to do is we're going to quickly add the rest of our sounds to our game. Same thing here, sounds. In this case, it's our paddle hit. .play. I will say if you do misspell any of these, it will give you an error. So now the next two will be in our scoring. Now we're going to want the sounds to play before our countdown timers come up. So we're just going to add it right after we reset the ball location, the ball on the map. Sounds. We have AI score. .play. And then come down here a few more lines, and sounds. This is going to be player score. Oh, I forgot something. Play. There we go. Now we have sounds it's bouncing off the walls, bouncing off the paddle, and just a small score sound. There we go. Now, one more thing we're going to add today is we're going to add a little bit of background music. And there we go. Just making sure my notes are correct. And this we're going to be loading it, pulling it in under our sounds. So this can be a little bit. So Pygame .mixer music .load. Now this is where I was running the issue. It didn't like me pulling it through that sounds function. So here I'm just going to be copy and pasting because it's quite the long. Now this is part of YouTube's free library for content creators to use. I'm not going to be changing the name of it because I don't want to get in any trouble there, but you could, whenever you pull that file down, if you want to shorten that name up, you absolutely can, but I'm not going to, just for the sake of avoiding any potential trouble. But here we're going to load it in. A couple other things we're going to do here is Pygame.mixer.music, and we got to play it. We can tell it to play, and one thing we're going to give it this -1 value so it will infinitely loop while the game is running. And we're also going to adjust the volume here. Set volume. I'm going to cut it down to about 1/5 of where it is. The sounds from the background music in general can get very overpowering. You can't hear those sound effects. But I'm going to load the game up, and we should hear it. Give it a second as a slow start. There we go. Oh. There we go. I just realized I had the volume on the... Alright. Turn the game off. Realize I may not have had that turned up for you guys to hear sound effects, so I'm going to mute that completely for the moment. I'm just going to make sure you guys can hear those game sound effects. Alright. There we go. I'm pretty sure I accidentally had these sounds muted from the recording. But now you can hear whenever the ball contacts the top and bottom balls and then the paddles. And then whenever myself or the AI scores, you will have just a little bit of a sound. I'll let score on me. And there we go. We have sound in our game. We have some background music, which I still feel is a little loud, so I'm going to cut it down even more. 1.00 is its default volume. I'll let it start playing here. There we go. There we go. And now we have a game with just a few nice features. You can sit down and play a little bit. Alright, well, now we have some music. We have a little bit of music. We have some sound effects in our game. We only have one more lesson before we're going to wrap all this up, and we're going to move on to our next game. Again, I'm so glad all of you stopped by. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I'll catch you next time.